Baltimore City Council Ways and Means Committee. We are here for FY 2022 budget hearings, specifically Council Bill 21-0080, the ordinance of estimates for the fiscal year ending June 30, 2022. I'm Mayor Costello, Councilman from the 11th District, Chair of the committee. I'm joined by Council Vice President Sharon Middleton, 6th District, member of the committee who will be vice chairing today. Also joined by Councilman Robert Stokes, 12th District, member of the committee, and Councilwoman Odette Ramos, 14th District. We are also joined representing Mayor Brandon Scott is Natasha Mehew and Nina Themlis, and representing Council President Nick Mosby is Matt Stegman and Nikki Thompson, who I know are logging on momentarily. Staff to the committee and the MVP of this week is Marguerite Curran. We are here today for the Office of Equity and Civil Rights. We have Dana Moore with us, who's going to be kicking things off. Colleagues, we have a pretty packed morning. I think we have 5 agencies through our lunch break at 12 noon. Also want to remind our colleagues that at 11:45 a.m. today, for those of you that are in City Hall or wish to join us in City Hall, that there will be a mini parade outside with number of vehicles celebrating John Chalmers' career of service to Baltimore City, who's going to be retiring shortly. So that'll be outside right in the War Memorial Plaza at 11:45 a.m. And I do plan to call a brief recess for that at that time, which was not on the schedule. We're also joined in chambers by Councilman Ryan Dorsey, 3rd District member of the committee, and also our Deputy Mayor for Neighborhood and Economic Development, Ted Carter, is with us. Dana, please take it away.
Good morning, Councilman Costello and Councilwoman Sharon Green Middleton, I see in the room, and to everyone that is assembled. Thank you for the opportunity to present the Office of Equity and Civil Rights fiscal year 2022 budget. We are happy to be here and address any of the questions that you might have. I've been asked to reduce my hour presentation down to 6 minutes, so we will do the very best that we can to collapse. The Office of Equity and Civil Rights is seeking your approval of an overall budget of $2,841,196. This represents a slight decrease over the fiscal year 2021 budget. That decrease amount is $116,200. And that decrease, that reduction, is driven by the reduction of 1 FTE, 1 full-time employee. I'm joined today by Deputy Director Cedric McCrae. It's important to note, important to me and for everyone here to know, Deputy Director McCrae really steered the ship of the Office of Equity and Civil Rights from August 2020 until March of 2021 when I officially joined the office. So I'm very appreciative for all of his work in maintaining the office. We're joined virtually by our brand new Chief of Staff, Khadijah Fairmont, and I am thinking Jill Muth might patch in. She's out of the country but committed to join. She's served us in a number of capacities over the years, and John Milton Wesley might be joining in soon. He is the agency's longtime public relations officer. So many of you, I think most of you, know what the Office of Equity and Civil Rights is. To really abbreviate, we are the agency that carries out activities to make sure that Baltimore is equitable. We work to eliminate discrimination and to protect individual civil rights. We house 3 commissions, 1 board, and 1 division. We house the Wage Commission, the Community Relations Commission, the Civilian Review Board, the Mayor's Commission on Disabilities, and as of 2020, the Office of Equity. So we have 3 slides, and Cedric will pull those up. The first one relates to the Wage Investigation and Enforcement, which is Service 656. For that service, we are requesting approval of a budget of $699,167. That's just a slight decrease over what we had last year. It's important to note that that office, that service, manages a contract for the American Sign Language interpreter. And anyone who's been watching the work of City Hall and this chamber over the last year and a half knows it's really important that we have the sign language interpreters for the many press conferences and announcements that both the mayor and this body have performed during the course of the pandemic. There's a reference to our old name, which is the Office of Civil Rights and Wage Enforcement. We are the Office of Equity and Civil Rights. Service 656 administers the city's wage commission. With respect to performance measure number 1, we're really pleased at the performance of that commission, that service throughout the course of the pandemic. We have consistently met our goals of bringing in, collecting dollars through fines and penalties for employers that are somehow not meeting their obligations to pay their staff. One of the ones that I would lift up is in fiscal year 20, we collected a significant amount of dollars for the city that was, and employees, that was $2,645,144. That was driven by a long-term practice of the Royal Farms Arena to not pay its employees a living wage. We were able to work to collect those funds and to make sure that the service employees were receiving the compensation that they were due. Our target for fiscal year 2022 is $350,000. We expect that we will achieve that goal, if not exceeded, just as we have done for fiscal year 2021. The second performance measure for the wage service was or is the number of complaints and violations handled. The goal for fiscal year 2021 is 375 complaints. We are falling short on that. We are at just 192 complaints handled. The cause of that shortfall is the effects and the long-term and ongoing impacts of the COVID-19 pandemic. The staff wanted me to make sure that you all knew that the challenge of not being able to go on site and actually do investigations is having an impact on their performance. We're hoping that with the increase in vaccinations, that they will be able to return, but we're waiting for that to happen. If we could go to the second slide, which is discrimination investigations, resolutions, and conciliations. That's Service 846, which is colloquially referred to as—
Dana, sorry to interrupt. What was the last performance measure again? What page was that on?
That is slide 1.
Or what service? Sorry.
Oh, I apologize. That is Service 656 for wage.
And which wage closes, what number of complaints and violations?
Right. Oh, I apologize. So yeah, for fiscal year 20, we are not meeting that performance measure. We were ambitious in thinking that we could close.
Wait, I'm sorry. I just want to make sure we're at which performance measure? We're talking about number of complaints and violations?
Performance measure 2 for wage.
Number of months to complete. Read me the performance measure.
So the performance measure for number 2 for wage is the number of complaints and violations.
Okay, that's the first one in our book. You may have a different order. Totally fine. Okay, so explain that to me again.
Okay, so for fiscal year 2021, the target was that the wage, the target was 375.
Right, and what do you have? What are you on track? You said like 150 or 120?
We are at 192.
Okay.
So we are 100.
Yeah, no, that's fine. And this says number, and just walk me through this because I don't do what you do on a daily basis. Number of complaints and violations. What's a complaint?
So a complaint would be an employee or vendor or almost anyone, calling our office and saying employees are not being paid.
Oh yeah. My boss isn't taking care of me. I'm not getting paid.
Bingo.
Perfect. Okay, what's a violation?
A violation would be a violation of, well, a great example is a violation of the city's living wage law, which is what.
So that would be confirmation that the complaint is legitimate.
Correct.
Okay,
And
so it's a complaint, and then it's validated complaint is essentially a violation.
correct.
Okay, can I pause you for 1 second? This is another example of a performance measure that to me doesn't make sense and is not meaningful. They have no control. Their job is to receive complaints, just like it's Lisa Allen's job to receive phone calls at the 311 call center. So she has no control over the number of complaints that she gets in. And we're conflating that because we're adding it with violations. So we're basically saying the number of complaints you have plus a bonus, some percentage of that, the number of those complaints that you find to be valid. This is just an ongoing discussion that I've been having with the great folks from BBMR for the last 7 years. So, okay, please continue.
Okay, so let's go to Service 846, which is the Community Relations Commission, which deals with discrimination investigations, resolutions, and conciliations. There, we are seeking a budget approval of $1,413,543. The Community Relations Commission is staffed by a supervisor and 5 investigators. We handle complaints of an array of discriminatory acts that are committed within Baltimore City. Our target for fiscal year 20 for performance measure 1 was the number of events, presentations, and trainings to city agencies and private employers. For fiscal year 20, that target was 30, and the actual number of performed was 43. And that increase was due to the office receiving funding from HUD to provide the trainings. We received a significant HUD grant. For fiscal year 2021, the target was increased by 1. That number was 31. The actual number to date is 48. And again, we attribute that to grant funding from HUD. The target for fiscal year 2022 remains at 31. And of course, we believe that we will achieve that. The performance measure for service number 846, performance measure number 2, is the number of complaints closed per investigator annually. The target for fiscal year 2021 is 15 complaints closed per investigator annually. The actual to date is 14.5 cases closed per investigator for a total of 58 cases closed in fiscal year 2021. This slight shortfall is again due to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic and our inability to actually have people walk in and deliver their complaints. Our target for fiscal year 2022 is holding at 15 complaints closed per investigator. Our next service. Next slide, please. The next service is Service 848, and that is the Police Community Relations, which houses our Civilian Review Board. This is the part of the work of the office that a lot of us understand and know much about because it deals with our oversight of law enforcement of a variety of sources. It's not just the Baltimore City Police Department, but it is also school police and the sheriff's office. The Civilian Review Board actually has a board, as do the others that we've talked about already. We're in the process of looking to staff up the actual board, and we'll be coming back to you, the City Council, for approval after the mayor has decided on who to appoint. So the budget for this service, the requested budget is $728,486. The Civilian Review Board is staffed by 1 supervisor and 2 investigators. Performance measure number 1 for the Civilian Review Board is the number of collaborative meetings, forums, and presentations convened between the community and the Civilian Review Board. Just a footnote that it's just so important that that happened because that really helps to, address trust concerns between the community and police. So the target for fiscal year 2020 was just 12. The actual number achieved in fiscal year 2020 was 37, and this is because the board members themselves held Know Your Rights meetings within their respective police districts. For fiscal year 2021, the target of those meetings was 22, and the actual number achieved to date is 30. And we're really proud that we've been able to accomplish that despite the pandemic. So the target for fiscal year 2022 for performance measure 1 is increased to 30, and we believe that that is achievable because we've exceeded our goal for 2 consecutive fiscal years. Performance measure number 2 is the number of civilian review board decisions that include recommendations that are punitive and those that are non-punitive. For fiscal year 2020, that number was 20. The actual number achieved was 45. And this dramatic increase is accounted for by the board's review and resolution of a number of backlogged cases. The target for fiscal year 2021 is 39. The actual number achieved to date is just 21. The shortfall is due again to the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. This office receives historically a lot of walk-in complaints, and that is just not possible now. Our office is pretty much still, 100% virtual. Director McCrae and I are coming in, but most of our staff are not. So that has reduced our walk-ins without a doubt. We think that that will continue over, certainly the majority of fiscal year 2022. So our target for fiscal 2022 is reduced to 35. And I believe that concludes our slides. And I've been going a little bit longer. Ready for any questions that you might have.
Good morning. Thank you, Dana Moore, for that presentation. The chair has stepped away, so I'm going to pick up from here. I just want to recognize some council members that have joined us since we started. And we'll start with Councilman Ryan Dorsey is here, Councilman Robert Stokes, Councilwoman Odette Ramos has joined us, and Council Member Christopher Burnett, Councilwoman Danielle McCrae, and as far as the council member list, and also President Nick Mosby has also joined us. We're going to I do see a hand raised. We're going to start with questioning, and before we we'll start with Councilwoman Ramos. But before we do that, I want to just go ahead and ask my question. In the service section 656, the wage investigation and enforcement, just for clarification, you have a total of, is it 5 or 6 investigators? It's on page 173 of our book.
At this time, we have just 2 investigators.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we did lose one person who submitted their resignation. I believe that happened over the summer.
And that's 2.
Oh, I'm sorry, CRC did that. Yeah, we have 2 investigators.
And that's 2 for the entire city.
It is.
Can you kind of explain? I know that they, go out and investigate living and prevailing wage laws on, I guess, project sites. Can you just kind of just go through just a brief summary of what that work entails for an investigator on a day-by-day basis?
Sure. So the investigators and we have one supervisor who also engages in the investigations. We've tried to cross-train the staff so that the staff, all of the investigators can investigate any type of claim, but there are 2 plus a supervisor dedicated to wage. So the way that they do their work is in ordinary times, which I refer to pre-COVID, they would actually be able to go onto a job site, interview and meet with staff, with workers, to ask them, how are you being paid? Are you being paid on time? What wage are you being paid? Are you being asked to work as an independent contractor, or are you actually on a payroll and being paid, a salary with, or a wage with taxes deducted and unemployment insurance being paid? The answers to those questions drives whether or not a violation of the city's laws has occurred. There are prevailing wage laws, there are minimum wage laws, there are living wage law, which as you know, Councilwoman, is very, very important to all of us, that we pay a living wage, and the city has
Mm-hmm.
passed laws to make sure that happens. If employers, if contractors are not paying that living wage and we learn of that, that is a violation that then gets investigated. We actually have subpoena power. I believe we have subpoena power, and we pull employment records. We get payrolls, and we have people that will review those records and determine, is there a shortfall in what is supposed to be paid and what is actually being paid. And again, those answers drive the investigation and determine the steps that follow.
Thank you.
Sure.
Just so that the committee could understand, I was kind of, I guess I paid particular attention to this section, based on my past experience as director of the state's apprenticeship system. And cases come also to the state apprenticeship board. And I just want to say that Baltimore City had the reputation of not following through with checking and investigating, and there has always been problems with on construction sites where they took advantage of workers, particularly people that that don't speak English, and just disobeyed the prevailing wage and living laws. And I just want us to be aware and maybe pay attention to, I feel that two employees are not enough to really investigate our entire city on work sites, especially since we are moving forward and going to have a lot of construction projects throughout our entire city. So I think we all need to really pay attention to that. And I think that bad reputation is still there, that a number of employers get away with things like this on our sites. I just want to put a red flag there, not just for your office, but I'm just trying to say, I think there is a need to hire, some more investigators in this particular instance. Um, I don't know if you have an additional comment on that.
I do. I
Okay.
do. Well, first of all, thank you for your observation. And I absolutely agree that we need to hire more investigators. And Khadijah and I have been officially in place and looking at the office and making assessments of where our dollars are going to be best spent. And we will be making some changes. There is one vacancy that we will be filling. My idea is to make that a chief of investigations, for the specific purpose of making sure that all of our investigators are highly trained, highly skilled. Um, w- Wearing my other hat, I was well aware of the Royal Farms Arena matter, and uh, um, Councilwoman, we were very dogged in pursuing that, and we had an excellent partner in the Office of Equity and Civil Rights, and we collected. I mean, to be able to collect $2 million, 2+ million, is tremendous, and I want more of that.
Hmm.
I can't go home at night and face my husband, who it's his birthday today, and tell him, oh, right, hi Ralph, and say to him that we were giving a pass to employers who are not taking care of their most needy employees. And that is what really drove me wackadoodle bat crazy, that an employer had focused on those that were in the most and greatest need of money and chose not to pay them a living wage.
Mm-hmm.
We will not rest. That is not going to continue. And we will find it. We will hear of it. We have investigator who's fluent in Spanish. We will be dogged. We have been dogged, and we will continue to do so. We want everyone to have a happy existence here in Baltimore. We want more industry. We want more business. We love seeing the cranes going up all over the city. But underneath those cranes are people that are doing the hard work, and they must be paid. Our laws demand it.
Yes,
They
thank you.
require it.
Thank you for your leadership. I think you're the perfect person to move this department forward. So much success. And I'm trying to keep time here. So I see Councilwoman Ramos. We have like 4 minutes left. Councilwoman Ramos, I think your hand is the only one raised for a question.
Oh, okay, thank you. I thought we had an hour for this one. So
Yeah, they're all 30 minutes this morning.
Oh, okay. Dana, good morning. We probably could have
morning.
carpooled this morning.
We could have.
I have a question about, I have two, well, I have many, but I'll just stick with two for now. What the equity part of your office, are we talking about that later, or can I ask a question about that now?
Councilwoman, I'm happy to address any questions, but we live right around the corner from one another. So
No, I know.
Have a porch meeting anytime you want. Yes.
Well, I think this might be of interest to my colleagues. So the equity piece of what you're doing is actually not in the budget. I mean, the administration part and the fact that you're doing all these trainings with the agencies and all of that, where is that represented in the budget?
So the Office of Equity and Civil Rights added the equity service, so to speak, in 2020, and that was put together through existing staff who were in other services who were willing and able and really actually well trained to take on the equity work. So it is carried out by Mbalu Bangura, who has done an excellent job. She's supported by Glenda Curtis, and now she has me working with her. And one of the things that we will be doing, and I'm not sharing any secrets here, Khadijah and I are looking at the office and trying to figure out how best to reorganize it. We have been functioning as an office of 4 or 5 different services that just happen to be under one roof. Our goal is to blend the office, make it one office. So the equity work is happening. It has been happening. It'll continue to happen. We are not unfunded. We are funded for that work. We do a lot of what we do through the equity coordinators that are housed in each agency. And I really need to take the time to look at every aspect of the office and then decide how best to reorganize within the budget that we have. And I believe I can do that.
Okay, so the equity work is integrated into each of the services that you just talked about, and then through the equity officers in each agency?
Correct. And so the work of equity, it's for all of us. And I think everyone would agree. We all have to be hyper-focused on it. So although my office is leading a lot of the efforts, it only happens because every agency, and I'm very pleased to report that every agency has an equity coordinator. But for example, the 2-day DEI training that we're convening in a couple of weeks, the funding is coming from the budget of the Department of Human Resources. And we're really pleased that, I couldn't fund it myself. Well, under no circumstance could I fund it, but my office could not fund it, at this time. And we're happy to have the Office of Learning and Development taking on that fiscal responsibility. They're getting the energy of myself and Khadijah and Cedric and Mbalu and the equity coordinators to create that programming. But the funding is coming from the the account of the DHR.
Okay, maybe a
Okay.
note to yeah, I'm just going to end here. To the BDMR and to, the budget folks to work with you for next budget to actually pull out the equity piece a little bit in the budget so we can actually see. That would be helpful.
Sure.
And then just a note, I would, on 2 occasions already, I've asked whether some of our agencies have hired people who speak Spanish, and they have not. So what I'm asking is that, we start looking at that, because especially front-facing agencies need to have Spanish speakers. So thanks. That's all I'll say for now, and I appreciate it.
Thank
Okay,
you,
and-
Councilwoman. And we're now at 9:31, and Councilman Dorsey has a question. Then we'll, if no one else has a question for this office, we'll try to stay on task and move to the next one. Councilman Dorsey?
Thank you, Madam Vice President. Dana, to piggyback on the Vice President's questions and concerns particularly about building trades and construction sites, do you actually get many complaints from the building trades and from construction projects? And I ask this specifically because we on the City Council, I'm sure you're aware that there's a project labor agreement bill before the council at this point, and it's just been, for probably decades, it's been a thing that comes up every single term. And one of the reasons that the building trades continues to want a project labor agreement is the kind of abuse of that they say occurs on construction sites. I guess, one, do you have many complaints that come from construction like that? And two, do you think you might get more complaints if you had more investigators in order to be able to do that? If we could get, if that would improve people coming, the rate of people actually coming to the city looking for wage enforcement. Like, I think that, to think about it in terms of like growing people's willingness and regularity, normalization of them reporting violations if we show them that we have the capacity to actually handle them.
So thank you, Councilman, for that question. Yes, we do get complaints, and I think that the recovery numbers show that. My view is we don't need necessarily more laws and more investigators to drive complaints. We need to make it safe for people to complain. We need to make it safe for people to speak out. There is an inherent fear of speaking out when you are not being compensated at the rate you feel that you should, and this is the only job that you have. There is a fear of being terminated. There is a fear of what happens when I speak out and I lose my job today and I can't, pay my rent tomorrow. We need to make more robust the process, that supports people when they complain. We have a matter, just as an example, that we're looking at now where the workers are Spanish speaking. They've all been told that they should be independent contractors. That's wrong. That is absolutely wrong. And we have to earn their trust to let them know that when they are ready to speak out and when they are ready to complain, we are there. We will help them. We will guide them. We will make sure that they have independent counsel if they need it. So I think really the focus for me and for this office is going to be making it safe for people to complain. We do get the complaints.
Sorry, I guess my question is really, would more investigators, more staff help you in making it more safe?
So I'm reverse engineering what happens when someone makes a complaint. And I don't know that more investigators will address that problem or that challenge. More investigators. All right. So, all right, you're going to get me on a tangent that I don't really want to go on. I think.
Oh, well, I don't want to take up, I mean, we're 5 minutes, or almost 5 minutes over time here now, but I just think the number of investigators is just really, it's extremely low. And if the problems that the city faces, particularly around building trades, are what we hear that they are, it seems that there needs to be much more capacity.
Yeah.
And the last thing I'll say, because we're out of time, is I'm interested in knowing the Inspector General, as somebody who does other investigations on complaints, publishes reports on their findings of everything. I'd be really interested to be able to see reports on investigations for wage enforcement. I mean, I think that part of the Inspector General's success is in their public presence that is significantly aided by those reports being done and being made public.
I agree with you 100%. That's part of our reorganization, our review and reorganization plan. I love the reports that are issued. They speak to the public, and I think we need to do more of that, and we will. So thank you for that suggestion.
So
Great,
thank
Thank you,
you.
Madam Chair.
Thank you, Director Moore, for, I know you have been working hard and starting off in this new role, and I'm sure you're going to be successful. And we're here to help in any way we can. I know you're very familiar with City Hall and our constituency and our city. And again, we all wish you great success and thank you for your update. We're
thank you.
going to now just not recess, but just give us 2 minutes so the Baltimore Office of Promotion and Arts can set up. And we are a little bit behind time and we want to stay on task. So just give us 2 minutes for the setup.